Today I'm embarking upon a build. It's a somewhat complex build. It's going to require measurements, calculations, determining position and location. It's a build that's going to be important for the island survival, a source of resources and XP. But before I can start this build, I need to choose the very foundations for it. The blocks that I'm going to be using. And it needs to be a special block. It has to be deep slate. It has to stand out from the natural deep slate. But there has to be something more to it. You can't just slap anything in there. Oh, it just looks fugly. You need, a block that stands out. A block that has personality. One that, says, do not open. Doom. Death and destruction exists and waits for you. And I have that block. The mine has been cleared out. This is part of the 6 hour. After the 6 hours, it was already cleared out before then. All the spider spawners were locked up, sealed away, and lit up. The hard part was all the hallways have been lit up now, 90%, 95%. But the hard thing is trying to map these things out because they're all incredibly squirrely around. This is Spider Spawner 5 and 6 out of the 6 I was able to find. You'll recognize them from Spider Hunt. They're right next to each other. There they are. A perfect setup to make a spider farm. Of course, there's a limitations to the amount of mobs that can spawn within a chunk. But spider spawners only launch about 2 to 4 spiders per spawning cycle. And having 2 of them there and that isn't really going to hit the chunk. It's everything that's going to be outside the spawner, all that area, that 128 block radius. So I guess chunk is the wrong way to describe it because there's more than 128 blocks in a chunk. It's clear enough if you gone through and cleared out most of the mine, and we're underwater, so there's going to be water up there. This is going to be, it'll work well. I've tried another a couple other double spider spawners, and they usually produce a good amount. And that's the advantage of the cave spider spawner is they can sometimes be close together, so you get more mob production. They produce a moderate amount of XP, and they produce a lot of string, which you can sell to the who buys those. I think the fisherman buys them, and the Fletcher buys them, and I think maybe the one who makes the tapestries. I can't remember who that is, but I think they buy string too. And of course, you can also turn it into wool and turn around and sell it to the same one as wool. You can use it to build up your wool supplies for construction, and going to certain dark and dangerous, former occupied, now desolated underground cities, populated by shrieking fungi and really angry big things. Yeah, don't have a really good description for the warden. I avoid him at all costs, so I haven't gotten a real close-up and personal experience with him. So what we're doing here is we need to, is the first stage of this is getting out the general shape of it. Most mob spawners, you want to do them in a 9x9 block. So 9x9 with 2 clearance overhead, 1 clearance underneath. But you also want to encapsulate them into blocks that stand out in case you happen to be digging in the area and you don't want to just accidentally break into it. So you choose something that's going to be unique. I've used, especially under the ground here where everything's dark. I've used sandstone, I've used diorite, used bone blocks This time I'm going to be using the chiseled deep slate. I always like that one because it's, you know, it's ominous and scary to look at to begin with. It's that possible creeper face. So because there's two of them here, you have to the area has to be made bigger. Well, for one thing, back to building the size, most mob spawners are 9 by 9. The regular spider spawner has to be 11 by 11 because regular spiders are 2 blocks instead of 1. The cave spider is a 1 block size model, but it has a 2 block hit. So I choose to err on the side of caution and make it an 11 by 11 around it, or 13 by 13 to include the walls and of the encapsulating build. Now, because there's 2 of them here, you have to do your measurements off from the outside of each of the spawners. And I think this ends up being something like 16 by 17 based off of the distance that these 2 spawners are between each other, plus then you add so you got to go out to 13, 6 each. So you got to go off from 6 of each side to make that 13 by 13. Then you've got an additional 4 into it. So yeah, that's your 16, and then the spacing between them also. So that's how big of an area. And before you really start doing anything, you kind of want to get it all cleaned out as much as you can. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of grind. As you can see, I've got this sped up pretty well. This is only at ×2 speed. I tried doing faster, and there was just so much jerkiness that it was making me motion sick to try and watch it. So I left it here at ×2 speed. So I apologize if it's slow for everyone else, but I'd rather people not feel seasick by watching it. But here you go. Here's the basic layout. This is, I still have some more work to do, but I've cleared out enough that I can move on to the second stage, and start laying in the walls. And of course, the same is going to be true of the floor and the ceiling. So as we've talked about, the walls, the floor, and the ceilings is 2 high, 1 below. This is usually because you're using water to move the mobs into the catch channel, which is going to funnel them down to where you're going to kill them for the XP. You do 2 above because you're going to do, you want to put a light source. Usually a redstone light source is good. You use a redstone lamp. Then on top of the redstone lamp, you use a transition block, and that sits just below. So it goes spawner, redstone, transition block, then ceiling. And there's an opening in the ceiling, and then you run your redstone wire out from that to a switch, and then you can turn the light on and off, and your spawner, lights up. And then you can just turn it off when you want to do things, and then turn it back on when you're done. So this also, of course, changes things around about how big and deep you need to make things. So you got 2 up for that, a 3rd one up because you're doing, you got 3 up if you count the floor where the spawner is currently sitting. So 1 for the spawner, 2 for that, and then you got to clear out another one for the ceiling. And then you're going to, so here's my measuring stick right there. That's where I'm currently at. That's the minimum. So I have to clear out everything 1 block up so I can put the ceiling blocks in. And see, occasionally you're going through and you find areas you haven't found before, or didn't, or forgot to get to. And that's one of them up there. I've got my sound turned off, but I think you can hear the squishing of slimes. There is another slime chunk nearby this area. It's up much higher. I went up there in the full video. I went up there and killed one of them because I wanted to see where they were coming from. But after that, I ignored them, and they don't materialize down in here. I've never had them spawn down here. But yeah, you want to get everything clear. And if you're still using, okay, I've got to hold off on this. Something special is about to happen. So let's take a moment to a minute or so to watch this. Yeah, I did that before I decided if I was going to do a voiceover for this one, so I just left it like that. But yeah, where did that come from? That was just a straight pillar. Everything here is lit up, and that was a cave spider. All the cave spiders in this area are lit up. So I have no idea where that thing came from or how it even spawned in. But what I was saying about the upper passages is sometimes, even though while you're digging all this stuff out, you need to figure out, see what you have going up there and make sure your passages are still usable once you build something like this in. Even if you're walking on the ceiling of the spawner, that's okay. From what you can tell is I never had actually gone into that section, so it wasn't much there. Diamond block if you're paying attention, but this is the one thing I don't like doing is laying out the floor. I think I did this just so I could have some working space on the ceiling, but I try not, if I've got a lot of holes in the floor, I try not to fill them back in because I'm going to have to dig them back out. And it's just more work. I think I'm using stone. I might be using iron, but I'm burning through them, so I think I'm using stone because I've just got a lot of stone. If I'm doing a lot of work like this, and I don't have mending, and I don't have XP farms to charge them up, I'm going to use the cheapest tool I have on hand, which is stone. I'm generating enough cobblestone, and I've got a lot of wood. Around me that I could just keep it up, keep it going. And just infinitely build my tools, which makes for slow work. One of the reasons this is sped up is that. The other one is me trying to make sure that I've got everything measured out. I'm not, not going to have it lopsided and have to go through and fill things in and clean it out. So, yeah, doing my count off there. You can tell that's the count off shuffle. Yeah. Constantly be running around picking up all my pieces because everything is a resource. You never know when you're going to need, those 3 stacks of diorite that you chewed up earlier. Or all that tough because what can you do with tough? Not a lot, but it's there and you might use it for something. I like tough because it's an easy to break block. It's like the dirt of the stone world. Dirt you can break with your hand. Tough, you kill. I mean, you can see how fast I kill it with just a stone pickaxe. I mean, look at that. It's fast. It breaks easy. Doesn't do a lot. It looks strange. It's a real life material that's usually found on the outside of certain types of mountains and hills, but here it's underground a lot. Maybe it's underground a lot in the world too, but when I looked up what tough was, that's what I saw. But we're clearing it out more, so we'll be soon. Once getting the measuring in. Obviously, I'm not up to par yet, so got a lot more to do. I can see why. People like Pixel Riffs and other creators, they use the second count to record this. It looks so much nicer, especially when the video camera's just off to the side and they're running through and they've got it all methodically chiseled out, and I'm sitting here going, dun, dun, dun. Okay, no, I'm going over here. No, I'm going over here. No, I'm going over here. Wait, yeah, I want to chop here. Yeah, chop here. So very visually, unesthetically pleasing, I suppose. I've been thinking about shelling out for a second account. Use as a video account. That would, just so I could try doing things like this. And it's not like I have the time and the focus. I can barely record my videos and get them edited up and put up. The more time it takes to sit there in a position, a camera account, and I'm sure they're using not just spectator mode. I know he's used spectator mode, but he's using spectator mode, and I think there's some add-ons or stuff you can use which have camera mode. I know players from the Dream SMP, which is one of the only SMPs I watched extensively. Tried following others, but they've got such an eclectic schedule, it's hard to keep up. But they had different camera modes they used, but those are cameras that they're no longer being developed, and they're They stopped somewhere around 115 or 114. I don't know how well they still function with, well, I'm on 119. I started on 119, and 120 just changed some fundamental things I didn't like. So I've mentioned this before, but that's why I'm on 119. So I want to play 119 for a while before I start going into 120, or I may just skip up to 121. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out in 121, and I just might balance it all out. And if there's any weird noise, that's my chair hitting my mic stand here. Here we go. Oh, doesn't that look ominous? You're going through the mine, you find the ominous black box. It's very surface says stay away. So what do? Well, you break into it, of course, because that's what they do in every horror movie. And breaking into a black room filled with fast-moving, vicious, poisonous spiders is an aspect of a horror movie. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, Minecraft in its own way is its own little horror movie. I mean, it's not just that. It's not just zombies and creepers and spiders. Oh my! It's the whole thing about that something happened. I know there's lots of history, and I haven't read up on it yet because I still like to ruminate on all the weird possibilities of what's going on. Having urges to do Fulci style transdimensional horror movies. With some of the worlds I've been on that I've made, and they've just been really just terrorized little spots of pure horror, terror, and monstrosities. And I'm like, yeah, this is the good setting for a horror movie. Where's Fulci? We need to bring Fulci back from the dead and have him shoot a couple of Minecraft movies like this. So yeah, that was from my first world. There's my first village. It sits on a kind of a lagoon up against a mountain, and it's a huge cliff face that goes up into taiga, with the spruce trees. And there's this, and you go up and you're at the top of the ridge, and it kind of curves around. There's a couple of houses, village houses up there, but no one survived up there. And the ridges curve around and go to this section of the mountain where it kind of curls up. It like scoops in and curls up and tapers out like a giant clawed finger. And it is in shadow 90% of the day. You can be up there at like high noon, and that thing is just filled with mobs. And I know that because I went over to try and investigate it, just see how much, see what I could do, see if I could plink them down, and they swarmed me. It was everything that could be spawned out on the surface. There were creepers coming after me, spiders coming after me, zombie hordes, skeletons plinking at me, baby zombies running around trying to nibble my ankles. It was a bad place to be. It was a bad place to die. I got swarmed by creepers while fighting giant spiders, and had to rush up there and try and resave my gear. So it was still early in game, and gear was precious. Gear is always precious, but it's more precious when you just can't manufacture it so easily. Once you have the right books, or you have the right spawners, and you're able to just generate up enough XP that you can sit there and do the enchantment table grind to get the enchantments you want, then it's okay, But until then, my second world, I gave away my current second gear to my friend who I invited over to check it out. So it's now currently on him. I thought I gave him full diamond, but I accidentally gave him a pretty good pair of iron pants, but he was happy with it. He was good. And we didn't get really much into much fighting or horror. Instead we went around and got lost in a couple of my mines, because my mines just I try and just explore them all. So if it breaks out and if it goes down into different chasms or anything, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to light it up. I'm going to see what's there, where it goes to. Eventually there comes to a point where I'm like, all right, I think I've seen enough, or I'm out of torches or something. But then I turn around and go, okay, how did I get down here? And I'll work my way back up, and because I'll follow both directions, down and up. Torches will be everywhere, and I'm like, okay, wait, no, I've gone up too far. This isn't the way. And somewhere along the lines, I bypassed the small opening that took me into that section. So sometimes just getting out is a chorish, grinding adventure in itself. There's been times where I've just finally given up and dug up, try and get out. But I prefer to find my way back out, because the more holes you dig, the more lost you can get the next time you go through. I'm very conscious of making sure everything stays lit up. It's not just the spider spawners going off, which I had happen once. I took out a torch and I thought everything was okay, and there's just enough darkness, and that spider spawner fired off, and I had an open chamber, and it was cave spider spawner, so they came at me pretty quickly. Fortunately, I was almost done completing it, so there's only completely building it, and there's just one opening, and I was able to bottleneck them off and take care of them at that point. So the one thing about doing the ceiling is you're going to do some ceiling work, so if you can manage it, you're going to want to leave a hole in the ceiling over your spawner. That way, when it comes time to put when it comes time to put the redstone in, you have a torch on the side, and then you got the top free, and you just plop the two pieces down from the top, and you're good to go. And especially if you already have your water flowing in there, you don't have to deal with struggling through the waters, assuming you don't have Depth Strider 3 already on your boots, or Aqua Affinity. But yes, we are going to be using a water push system in this. It might be this is only even though this is the first 3 stages for this video of the build, it's nowhere near going to be completed other than structurally. There's other things I like to do, add in. Of course, I've always got to get, so there you go, there's your opening. You're going to come through that way, and you're going to drop things down, drop down through that. And that's where, if you're in a mine, you want to be able to get back up there to that section easily and just run everything up there. You want to make sure that it's well lit and open, so nothing spawns up there and goes against your mob count, or you're sitting down there trying to focus on them and creepers creep on down. So I'm running out of the ability to walk, so I'm going to have to fill all this in, or most of it. Have to dig it out later. Well, these things. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I had scaffolding. I guess I could just fill that all up with scaffolding and run across it. But I don't need to. I think I've got my reach in. I always find that being the most annoying thing, is I'm sitting there trying to place something in blocks, and oops, something jiggled or wiggled, and I end up hitting it one level lower. I always find that annoying. So clearing out the first floor section here. Oh, this is going to be block. Except for under the spider spawner. Spider spawner is going to sit in the center of a 3x3 block. And then that's going to be the drop shaft. All the water is going to push them into the drop shaft. The drop shaft is going to go down to a channel. Channel is going to push them forward to the mob catch, or the corral, or whatever you want to call it. And but we're not close enough to that yet. Yeah, too much. I build a second part of this later. I don't know how much I can't remember how much I recorded it, but I overlayered. I dug it really deep trying to get it to some section, and then the further you have to go in your channel, the more you have to build, because you've got to do the water flow tier system. That's, where you come through and you hit a point and then things are pushed to drop down. And then they got to go again and they get pushed to be dropped down until it's time to raise them up. This one is, fortunately, it's on the same level. It's really close to each other. And we're just going to be able to do the drop shaft. So it's going to be, this one's relatively simple to do. Take my inspiration from Pixel Riffs. His is the survival guide to watch. I've mentioned him before. These are the designs that I base my designs off of. I've seen a couple others. Usually, though, they're built in creative mode, and Pixel Riffs builds his in survival mode. So he's doing things that, in the creative mode with the creative mode resources, and I like that because that gives me the focus that that shows me what I can do and how I can do it. The only thing that annoys me about his videos is he always has his shield on. I mean, can you imagine a YouTuber trying to show you how to do something and they've got their shield on? I mean, who does that? Who wears a big bulky item of protection that takes up, about a quarter of the screen? I mean, it's just unheard of. Yeah. Hopefully my humor is noticed there, my irony. The one thing I hate about Minecraft, I don't hate, but I find annoying, is trying to judge distance from just looking over things. You stop and see me do the count. I'm counting my way. Count here, count here, count here. How many blocks am I doing here? How many blocks am I doing here? So, yeah. No. I don't even know why I'm digging this deep. I probably will once I get a look out. But right now I'm like, why am I going this deep? Of course, because I'm already 2 blocks down. And that's right, because 2 blocks down, 1 block has to be cleared out. So it's open space, then regular floor, and then you got to go down 1 more for the block floor. Okay. All right. Hey, I remember. I know what I'm doing now. Yes, once again, I'm conserving what I'm chopping out, just in case it's necessary for defensive positions. Well, this is just me figuring out. Okay, no, it's all got to go. It's all got to go. I'm really fortunate that this one's positioned itself in a rather stable environment. I've had ones I've chosen to do, which are like hanging out over big cavernous lakes and trying to build the platform and things for it. Not spider spawner, I think it was zombie spawners, or just really structurally precarious other ways, lots of different entryways into it. And when you're late in game, you can choose, well, no, this one's just not good, we're not going to do it. But when you're early game and you need that spawner, you need that XP farm, you kind of got to take what you find. Now look at that tough go. That's where you feel like you're really breaking something fast, when you're cutting through tough. Then you get that diamond efficiency pickaxe, and then you're like, like hot knife through butter. One thing that I never seem to do when I'm doing this is bringing a stone cutter with me. I always like have a base, and I run off and I use my base, and then I come back. I don't know why I ever just don't bring it with me, plop it down outside, and then do my stone cutting. I'm trying to get into the habit of doing that, of transporting tools I use a lot when I'm out in the field, storing them in an ender chest. I have not gone to the end. I have not beaten the ender dragon. I have not fought the shulks and gotten myself the really useful shulk boxes. I know I'm such a disappointment. I'm just having too much fun working on the survival aspects of the games, building things up. That is the difference between my builds and Pixel Riffs. Is he's very good at it, so he gets himself, like many of the long-term content creators, they get their they're good. They can hop in, they can get it done really quickly and stuff. They just get what they need. And what do you need? Well, it's nice to have netherite. You can do it with diamond, but it's nice to have netherite. But you'll find they'll get to it fast. Then they capitalize upon the resources they get. Yeah, see, I'm filling that in. That's a spawn spot. If that would get sealed up, something might spawn in those. Don't want that. It's a pain in the butt trying to get spiders out of the walls. They stay there. I think I've said that before. They stay there. One of my other mobs and one of the other mob farms, different world. They were stuck in the wall, and I had to dig them out. And as soon as you break that block, boom, they're out. They're like, yeah, no, we're free. We're free. We're going to eat you now. We're going to poison you, wrap you up in our web, and suck the juices out of your dead corpse. Because that's the way insects eat. Well, arachnids. These are arachnids. So that's how arachnids eat. Some of them eat them alive, so others just eat them dead. So I think Charlotte's the only spider that never creeped me out. Of course, she had a very soothing voice and was a very small spider. And she even let the little butterfly get away. Poor Wilbur. I wonder if I should do that. Capture myself a spider and a pig. There are no rats, so I don't know. Maybe a sheep. Sheep looks like a rat. Build a little farm. Build a little Charlotte's Web farm. That might be cute. I don't know how many times I watched that movie as a kid. We didn't have TV when I was a kid. I mean, we had TV, but it wasn't really TV. You went to the movies. You want your entertainment, you went to the movies. And yeah, that's where you went. That's why you watched Star Wars. 127 times is it's a big achievement. Is you went to the movies. You stood in line. You bought those tickets. Yeah, it's not like it doesn't count if you own the DVD and you sit at home and watch 127 times. It is not the same. But that's neither here nor there. But as you can see, once you get things laid out, I mean, it comes together rather quickly. See, always just carefully turn around and look at that spider spawner. Look at those warning flames flicking out of there. Yeah, it's just like, am I spawning anything? No, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, light is a constant worry. You cannot assume. From that pillar from earlier, you cannot assume nothing's going to spawn. And this is stage 2. Stage 3 is the hard part. This is your water channel system. Like I said, this is an easy one to do. I've just got to go through and figure out where I'm going to lay the walls. Where am I going to lay the depth of the wall, the depth of the floor, the depth of the channel, where the final catch is going to be. You need to keep in mind that you want to be close. I'm not sure if where I put the catch was the right place to put the catch. It's pretty far away from the second spawner. But, that's what you have to keep in mind. 16 blocks. You got to be 16 blocks, horizontal and vertical. It's got to be there. Where you're standing, that spawner's got to be able to detect you and fire off the spiders. And because this is an oversized spawning room, why does this look like it's going so slow? I'm going to have to go back through and fix this again. I fixed this thing 6 times already. Oh, there we go. I'm up to speed. All right, just do a little slow intro there. All right. I think I can live with that. Hopefully you can live with it too. I do not know how many times I've gone back and broken down the video pieces and adjusted the speeds and finding like little bits that got left in there that I'm like, why is this here? Why did I leave this in here? I've been so tired. Wow. Okay, you see that little bit of sand there to the right? I'm looking around so fast. But that's spider spawner number 2 over there. From the way we're facing in down there at the entrance, there to the left is spider spawner number 2. It's over here. And no. I'm sorry, it's not over here. This is the depth. But and that's going to be important in later videos because I'm going to connect them up. I'm going to turn this into a hopefully functioning 3 spider spawner XP farm. And a 3 spider spawner XP farm produces a lot of spiders if you can get them all firing off. I just activate it, step back for a few seconds, for a minute or so, and it's just packed full of spiders. Packed. So the hard part of this part is that they're so close. One's got to come in from the side, and that's where you start having water problems. You have to have the ability to manage your water system. So you have to understand how the water systems work in order to do this. And I'm only a journeyman. I'm not an amateur, but I'm definitely not a master of managing my water systems. I have learned a couple of tricks, but I still have a lot of trouble with the way water works, especially if I put it down and I expect a flow, and instead what I get is a spread out flow. Instead what happens is it drops down and it sticks in a single block wide column as it rolls across the ground. I'm like, why do you do this? But there are no answers because water will not respond. Okay, that's a mistake right there. I'm leaving open gap underneath there. So I should just fill that in right away, but I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm not. Hindsight is 20/20, of course. There we go. But I only fill in the 1 block. So hopefully that will not be a big problem when it comes to spawning. It shouldn't. It's outside the spawn radius of the spawner, so there shouldn't be any problems. But water, as we all know, you're looking about 7 to 8 blocks spread out. It gets to about, 5, and then it trickles down. 8 is the single piece of water that's sticking out. 7 is 3, assuming, this wide, and so you have to measure it out. There it is again. That 1 block that just doesn't want to cooperate. These shafts are easy to make. This is the easy way. The hard ones are when they're much further apart, because what you will have to do with the transportation shafts is there's one of 2 ways to do it. And once again, following the Pixel Riffs way, is you make a 1 block high shaft to keep them contained so they don't climb. The water, they get forced up and pushed in and moved along, and they don't have any place to go. They've got to go forward. I have a lot of hiccups in mind, so when I'm playing survival mode and I've built it 100% of the way, then I may go into creative mode to work out the kinks. Okay, so in order to deal with the depth of this, I'm going to dig into the wall, dig a base channel into the wall, and put the water further back. So instead of putting the water up against the actual shaft wall, it's going to be starting back here. So that way, when it hits the other water, it's not going to cause that much of a confluence. What you don't want is you don't want dead spots in the water. What you don't want is a counter current, which pushes them into a corner or up against the wall, and they're unable to move forward due to some geography of the shaft or some geography of the different currents. And that's the hard part. That's still trying to master that, trying to get those spaces done. So this becomes, this is usually how you have to build the shaft. So. And so most of it, because you're going to drop them down. They drop down and then they get flushed out. And then this is just a simple little L here. But when you've got one of the other ones and you've got like, I don't know, 20, 40 block long channels in order to get them around, then this is where everything starts getting really, really difficult to manage. And you have to start doing those tiers and those layers, and you're either pushing up or you're pushing down. Pixel Riffs, as I haven't seen anyone build one that has impressed me enough to go, okay, well, this is a good mechanic. I stick with his design. His is to push them up. So you push them to a point and you use other features that cause them to climb up, because they like to climb to the next level, and then the water pushes them along again, and then they climb up until you finally get them to the point where it's okay if you push them along, because the water is not just going forward and trickling out, it's also lowering. If it's lowered enough and there's not water, they can climb up, hit the ceiling, hit a lip on the ceiling, and just not go forward anymore. And those are always fun to try and clear out. So there's the first water test, but as you can see, too much water wants to push off to the side there. And you see how the right-hand column wants to push into the right-hand wall there, into the right-hand where the water is flowing. That's going to cause a jam up. Sometimes you can just do one. Sometimes you need to do two. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to have a full flow. We're not going to have any of the dead spots, but we run out of water here, and that's just kind of the way it is. It's not, so I have to figure out how I'm going to deal with getting more water. How to work the rest of that water. And yes, fill that back in. There we go. And that's right. Because I keep forgetting how to build this final section. I have to, I don't memorize this stuff well, and my design drop notes are not always perfect, so I keep forgetting how to work the nuances of the blocks in order to catch things. So this was frustrating to work on. Once again, you don't want to push yourself too far away, but they've got to come in. I mean, I guess technically I could have gone closer in to the kill point and stood there, but usually you don't want them coming right at your face. You want to have a control for the cave spiders because they're poisonous, and they've got you know, like a 2 square hitbox, as opposed to the 1 for something their size. Yeah, still trying to figure it all out, because I know I'm going to have to put more water in there. Yeah. There you go. There's your 1 cascade down. I mean, it's going to work. I mean, that's going to push water through. You're going to fall down. The other thing I'm worried about is it's pushing it, of course, all off to the left from our viewpoint. Put that 1 there. It pushes water back. Creates a lock point. You know, when you got something like that, it creates a dead spot of water actually. So everything's just going to catch there and not move. That's too big. They're not going to be able to get through it. So. That might work a little bit better because now things are pushing forward again. That may work better, deeper, but probably not. It's probably not going to do anything. Yeah. Getting closer. I'm getting closer, but still not getting it right. I know I'm going to have to go look at an older build and find how I make this mouth. So what it's supposed to be is there's supposed to be a full wall there in front, and then they're supposed to come underneath that full wall into a small catch basin, and then there's the fence over it so that way they can't pop up. And then you need a barrier to keep you back some so you're not in the hitbox range. But this isn't it. This is not the proper build. I'm not even sure if I ever got the proper build right on this one. I think I did because I use it all the time now, and it's great. It does the work. So you'd have that there, and you'd want to put stone there, not fencing. I mean, you could put fencing there too, but putting stone there it would be the proper spot. And that's it. So I hope you enjoy this. I did a lot of work to try and edit this down and edit it up and speed it up, and kept it under 50 minutes, except for my voiceover here. So I think I like this one. I'm going to play with the sound, hopefully get the sound right. Not too hissy, not too mechanic. Well, thanks for watching.